Can you say, Glama, I love you?
Mama, are you?
Thank you! Hi everyone, Glama here. So we are going to get started on our Glama summer slipper, and the reason I'm calling it Glama summer slipper, it's because it's made out of cotton yarn. So it'll breathe easier, it won't be quite so warm, and you can wear it during the summertime. You can wear it anytime, but I like cotton in the summertime. So we are going to get started. So let's go ahead and get our supplies. So this is what I will be using: cotton yarn, a 5.5 millimeter hook, also known as an eye hook, a pair of scissors, a tapestry needle, and if you're anything like me, you'll be needing a needle threader, and optional, a row counter. Oh, I was going to also say that this yarn, before we get started, I got it at Dollar Tree along with this one. So yeah, not bad, $1.25. Well, actually, I haven't done the calculations, but it's 104 yards, 60 grams of yarn in here, and for $1.25. So I don't know if it's cheaper than getting it like at Walmart or Joann's, but I was there at Dollar Tree, so I picked it up, and I thought this is perfect for our tutorial. So this is what we'll be making, and this is how it fits. This is on my little mannequin foot that I use for my jewelry sales, but believe it or not, this is the exact same size as my foot. Crazy enough. So I did want to say that on the picture that I posted last week, this is the slipper that she was wearing, but I didn't know if this yarn would be too hard to see. Maybe the white's going to be too hard to see, I don't know. But I went ahead and got white yarn as well, and I think that's what I'm going to use today. And just in case anyone is curious, remember how I used to tell y'all the name of my nail polish? Well, this is the nail polish color that I am wearing today. It is a gel nail by LA Colors, and I'm not sure if it has the actual color, but I got it at Walmart. Okay. All right, well, let's get started. Okay, and another thing I wanted to mention is that at the beginning of our project, we're going to leave a longer than usual tail so that we can sew up this end. And at the end of our project, we're going to leave a longer than usual tail as well to sew up this end and that end. Okay? All right, that was Boomer. You might hear my dogs periodically throughout the tutorial. So yeah. All right, so we're going to leave long tails at the beginning and at the end. Okay, so before we get started with our chains, I'm going to show you how to kind of determine how many chains you'll be needing for your slipper. I'm going to be making the slipper for this size foot, which is about a size 5. This foot is exactly the same size as my foot. So let me see. She is about 9 inches from toe to heel, about 9 inches, okay? See? Okay, and so I've determined that for this size foot, which is my size foot, I'm going to chain 30, and then at the end I'm going to add an extra chain for the height of my single crochet, okay? So go ahead and measure your baby's foot, your daughter's, your son's, your husband's, your foot, and determine how many chains you need. And the reason why I'm only chaining 30, the 30 only comes to about right from the heel to about right here, because as many of you seasoned crocheters know that as you single crochet or half double crochet, for some reason our project tends to get a little longer as we add stitches to our chain, because you're stretching the chain by inserting your hook and adding the stitch in there. It kind of stretches your project. So I'm purposely going to from about here to about there with 30 chains, and then my project will grow a teeny bit. And it still won't go all the way to the tip because I actually want the slipper to be a bit snug. I don't want the slipper falling off of me. When I first started crocheting, I made that mistake. I would measure everything from one end to the other, but now I kind of tend to go a little small on purpose so that things will fit my feet nice and snug. All right, now let's get started with our chain. So to get started, we are going to grab our yarn and we're going to start off with, like I said, a longer than usual tail. I'm going to leave, just to be sure, I'm going to leave about a 12-inch tail at the beginning. I'd rather have more than not enough. All right, we're going to start off with a slip knot. So here we go. I wrap it around 2 fingers and then I grab this end and I just kind of push it right there in the center. I grab my hook, I pull it, and I very loosely slide it up to the hook. Okay, now put your tail aside. Don't start crocheting with the wrong end. All right, so what we're going to do is we are going to chain. And this is how I hold my yarn. I put the yarn under my 2 middle fingers and over my index and my pinky finger. And so we are going to chain, I believe, 31. But let me check my notes because I also wanted to let you know that if you wanted to make half double crochets like I did for this one has half double crochets. The white one is single crochets. Okay, so I'm going to show you the single crochet method right now. Here are my notes. It's a super simple slipper. So for half double crochets I did 32 chains. For my single crochets I'm doing 31. Okay, so let's do 31 for the singles. Okay, and so for anyone that is new, you don't put too much yarn over here. You don't hold your hand way over here. You get it a little closer to the hook so that it's easier for you to wrap your yarn around. Okay, so for a chain we are just going to wrap our yarn around the hook, come through that slip knot that you made, and there is one chain. Looks like a V or a braid. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and continue that way till you have 30. And a little short, see? So right here is 30. It's kind of towards the end of the foot, and I made it a little short on purpose so that when the project grows a little bit, it'll fit nice and snug, but yet I know it's going to stretch. Okay, so I have 30, but I'm going to add one more for the height of my single crochet. Okay, so now that we have our extra chain for the height of our single crochets, row 1. It's up to you whether you want to grab just the top V with your hook or grab that yarn going between the top V and the bottom V. In my opinion, grabbing the yarn that goes through right before the bottom V makes it a little sturdier. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to grab the top V and that yarn going through the little braid, through the little chain. So I'm going to grab that. See, so that kind of, you end up picking up like 2 little strands right there, but the bottom V is still right there. So I'm going to grab that, insert my hook, yarn over, pull it through. Now you have 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, and go through both of them, and you've just made your first single crochet. All right, so I'm going to do that all the way down till the end, and at the end I'm going to have 30 single crochets. Okay, so like I said, I'm pushing that thread that's going through the top and the bottom. I'm grabbing that with the top V and making this a little sturdier. All right, so keep doing that until you get to the end, and then I will meet you back here, okay? And then we will go on to the next step. So I'm nearing the end here. And here's our last one right here. All right, so let's be sure that we have 30. Remember, we change 30 and then we change an extra one for the height of our single crochet. So let's go ahead and count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30 right there. Okay, so now that we're at the end, we're going to chain 1 for the height of our single crochet, turn our work around. Now we're starting row 2, and we're going to go right into that very first single crochet. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing. Make single crochets all the way down to the end, grabbing both sides of the V. See, there's the V, there's the braid, the single crochet. We're going to go right here. See that little space? Going to go right in there, insert our hook, yarn over, bring the yarn through. Now you have 2 hoops, yarn over, go through 2, and you're just going to do this all the way down to the end. I'm almost at the end of row 2. I thought I would come and finish it with you. There's my last one, and now we're going to chain 1, turn our work around, and we're going to do the exact same thing. So that was the end of row 2. Now let's click on to 3, and so you're going to just keep doing this, repeating back and forth row after row until you have enough to go around your foot. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So I'm going to keep making row after row after row until I can sit the foot on here and it comes around to here, and this side comes around to here. So basically, pretend this is the panel that you made, and you want the end that you started on to go to about the middle of the foot, and then by the time you're done with that panel of single crochets, you want it to meet right there in the middle with a little bit left over so that you can stitch it, okay? So that you can stitch it closed. All right, so just keep measuring the panel around the person's foot when the first row is right about here, and the last row can go all the way around the foot and meet right there in the middle with a little bit left over for stitching. Then you know you are done. For me, it's going to be 30 rows, okay? Oh, I almost forgot to tell you that if you're making half double crochets and you're about a size 5 foot, then I only went 18 rows for the half double crochet, and for the white single crochet slipper that I'm making, I'm doing 30. So for this one, the half double crochet, I did 18 rows because it's a taller stitch. Okay, just wanted to share that with you real quick. Guys, I also wanted to come back on here and remind you that not to forget to go into the very last stitch. Some people tend to think that that's the last stitch, or some people do this last stitch and then go one extra. So if you notice that your project is starting to go that way instead of this way, if it's going that way, that means you're not going all the way to the last stitch. If your project is going that way, that means you're going beyond the last stitch and maybe grabbing something from the row previous. So one way that is easy to determine if this is the last stitch is you'll see that last single crochet, you'll see that last V, and then you'll see this sideways little loop there. So you know that when you get to that sideways loop, that definitely is the end of the row. Okay, see, So the way that little sideways loop gets made is when you chain that extra one and then you go this way, and then you start making your single crochets. There's that little loop that you know that when you get to that, that is the end. Let me see if I can show you what I'm talking about. So this is my 4th row now, single crochet, and you see how that made that little sideways loop. So when I come back around to the end of this, see, let's say I finish my 4th row and then I'm coming back. See how that stitch is the sideways one, so you know that that right there is your last stitch to stitch into when you get to that little loop right there. Okay, all right, I hope that made sense. I'm on my 4th row, so when I get over here, you see that little loop right there? I'm gonna know that that is my last stitch right there. So don't go beyond it and don't stop right here. Go right up to where that little sideways loop is, okay? Or you can put a stitch marker. If you're unsure as to where the last stitch is, you can put a stitch marker there so that when you come this way, you'll know, oh, there's my last stitch. And let me show you what that would look like this way. So here I'm at the end of my 3rd row, and I just chained up, and now I'm going to turn my work around, and when I make my first single crochet, I am going to put my stitch marker here and know that that will be my last single crochet on my way back. Okay, so that's how you would do that at the beginning of the row. All right, guys, I hope you find that helpful. Hope I didn't confuse you further. Or, of course, you can always count your stitches at the end of each row and make sure that, in my case, I still have 30 single crochets, but that tends to be a little tedious. All right, I'm gonna finish watching Good Morning America while I crochet my 30 rows. I thought of something else while I was crocheting. I'm on row 14 right now, but in case you don't have a row counter, I wanted to show you how to count your rows if you're new. You see these little dashes right here, those little dash looking stitches? Well, that's 1 row, and then your next row would be that little divot, so that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and I'm on 14 right now. So in case you don't have a row counter and you lost track of how many rows you've been doing, you've been just saying it in your head, that's how you can check your rows. All right, guys, I'll get back to my crocheting. While I was crocheting these 30 rows, I thought about leaving the tail even longer at the end, and I'll tell you why in just a second. Okay, so here's my last stitch right there, chain 1, and then we're going to pull this through to finish it off, but I'm going to leave enough of the tail at the end to sew up the toe part and then to sew up the foot. So about that much and about that much for the foot part, and I'm going to leave a lot more, maybe 3 yards, I don't know, because at the end I'm going to do what I did on this one. I'm going to do a slip stitch all the way around just to give it a more finishing edge. So on this one I just left enough to do this and to sew up here, and then I had to reattach yarn to do this part. So this time I'm going to leave enough yarn to where I don't have to reattach a piece to do the slip stitching on the top. So I'm hoping I leave enough. All right, so let me cut it about there. I think that'll be enough. Okay, and now over here you just made that slip stitch. So now you're just going to pull this all the way out. Probably left it way too long, but that's okay. I'd rather have an overage than a shortage. Okay, all right, so to construct this slipper, oh, I guess before I do that, I should show you how it fits around her. Okay, so this is why I only did it for 30 rows. I didn't want it too loose, so this end fits this way, this end fits this way. Okay, so that's perfect. So that's 30 rows, and that leaves me enough here to make the stitching going this way and around the toe. I'm going to go back to the beginning part where we just left a little bit of a longer tail, and I'm going to sew that up first. Okay. All right, so here's the end project right there, and here's the beginning of it, and this is the right side. So I'm going to fold it this way. Okay, so we're going to be doing the heel part right now. Okay. All right, so let's thread this up. All right, there we go. There we go, there we go. All right, so I'm just going to go into here and I'm going to make whip stitches. I know my camera is blurry, sorry guys. Okay. I'm going to go a couple times right here to make sure it's nice and secure. All right, so now I'm just going to do whip stitches right here, grabbing as little of the edge as I can. I'm going to go all the way down, just making little whip stitches. Wow, I barely had enough thread, enough yarn. Okay, I'm at the end. I'm going to secure it one more time. And now that is the heel part. Let me show you what it looks like from the right side out. So I'm going to do something. You might have noticed at the beginning when I showed the slipper, if I was to leave it like this with the corner so sharp, it would look a little bit funny. So let me show you what that would look like. See how that looks kind of funny? So I didn't want to leave it like that. And so let me show you what I did on my first one. So this is the finished one, the first one that I showed you, and I did this to it. I'll show you what that looks like from the inside. So from the inside, after I sewed it up like I did here, I took the corner and I lifted it up and I stitched it right there into place. See? And so when you turn it the right side, it's perfect for, it's a nice flat area, but yet it's more rounded like our heel is shaped. So that's what we're going to do now. Okay, so here's the wrong side. To do that, super duper simple. I just kind of flattened the stitch there, grabbed the point, and just went up a little bit. And now I am going to just stitch that into place. And that's it, guys. Super easy, custom little heel there. So it's not super pointy. Just do it as many times as you feel comfortable with. Leave yourself enough so that you can weave your end in. Okay, so I'm gonna just weave it in a little bit like that. Okay. Go back the other way and then trim it. Right there. And that's it. We're done with the heel part. And then just cut it right there. Perfect. So now that's what that looks like. And then here's what it looks like on the right side. Okay, so your heel will go right there. And there's the bottom of the slipper. Okay, now we are going to tackle the toe part. Okay, heel and toe. So for this, grab this side and I'm just going to go, I'm going to weave this in and out. In through here, out through there, back up, out, up. And I'm just going to do that in between each of these rows. You see, here are my rows, so I'll go in there, out through there, up through here, down through there. And I'm just going to keep doing that till I get to the end, okay? Don't tug on it too much yet to where it's not gathered. Let's leave it flat for now. Okay, there we go. We're at the end. Pull it through. Okay, so this is the good side, this is the wrong side, and I am going to tug on this now to make the toe part. Okay, so tug on it as tight as you can, and then come find the beginning over here and put your needle through there to secure what you've tightened up, okay? All right, so here's the toe part. It's nice and tight. See, I closed up the hole. And now that you've closed up the hole and you're satisfied with it, now come over here and just secure it into place. There's once, there's twice, okay? And that's probably good enough. You can do it a third time for good measure, but I don't really probably think I need to. Let me see how far up I went. How many stitches did I go up over here? Probably about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I closed it for about 12 stitches, 11, 12. So I'll put a stitch marker there so that I know kind of sort of where to stop. And then we'll measure it out to make sure that I got the first slipper even with the second one, or the second one even with the first one, I should say. All right, so now I'm just going to whip stitch. This is the top of the slipper. Okay, I'm going to whip stitch that. Okay. All right, I'll meet you back when I get to my stitch marker, okay? All right, so here's the first one that I made, and here's the one I just did. And let's see if we got it pretty accurate. So there's the two toe parts, and yes, good. So I stopped around the exact same spot. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to secure it a couple more times, because this part of the slipper, getting it in, putting it on and off several times, you know, might get a little loose, so we don't want the stitching to come apart. So let's just secure it a couple times. 1, 2. All right, I'm going to take the needle out and start slip stitching. I'm going to turn it right side out. So I'm going to put my hook about right here, grab the yarn, pull it through. I think I'm gonna do that. Yeah. And then I'm gonna go all the way around and just slip stitch in here. This is how you slip stitch. You bring it through, and you also bring it through the loop on your hook for a slip stitch. So we're not single crocheting, we're slip stitching. Yarn over, come through, and even go through that loop on the hook. And just do this all the way around, okay? I'll show you what it looks like in just a second. I'm going to do a few and then show you what it looks like. Okay, so that's what it's looking like. If you want, you can do single crochets, you can do double crochet, you can do half double crochet. I'm just doing slip stitches because I don't want it any taller. I just want the edging to be more secure and for it to not be so flimsy when you put your slipper on and off. Because if you were to leave it like that, which you could do, but eventually it might stretch and get a little wobbly looking. So I want a nice clean finish edge. So just keep doing that all the way around, and I'll meet you back when you get to the other end. Okay, go into here. And then I think I'll join right here. You know what, I might go into here, that same stitch that I started off in, and then I will grab this first slip stitch there and pull it through, and yay, I had enough yarn. Probably a foot more than I needed, but that's okay. So there we are, and now I am going to rethread my tapestry needle and finish it off. So because that little, see how it's kind of standing up a little bit, I'm going to come this way a little bit to make that little knot lay down. Okay, there, see how it pulled it nice and even now? Now I'm just going to kind of, I think, do I want to go this way or down? I think I might go this way, down, and then to the side. I'm just going to go different directions. Okay, now I'm going to go this way. And now I'm going to go back and then tie off. Yeah, right there, that's good enough. And then I'm just going to snip it right there. And we are done with our slipper. And I weaved it down in through the inside. And there it is, guys. That is our finished slipper. Let's try it on our mannequin. Okay. Put your foot in. And now let me pull up the heel. There we go. And I wanted it a little snug, as you saw, because the more you take them off and on and off and on, it's going to loosen up, and you don't want it to get too loose to where they just start falling off of you. Okay, so yeah, that is our finished slipper. Yay! All right, guys, so there we are. Super duper easy pattern. Oh, I was gonna also tell you that if you want to crochet a flower and put it there, or if you want to go in and out with like a chain, and you can of a different color or even the same color, and put it all through here, weave it in and out of there, and then tie a bow right here with little dangly strings right there. Or you can embellish this however you want. Okay, you can use whatever color yarn you want. You can make it more colorful like this, using something like that, like I did the first one. Or do whatever you want. You can fix this up however you want. You can even just get a little, you know, satin bow or something that has like a little pin that you can pin onto your clothes. You can just pin it onto there. If you don't know how to sew a flower or crochet a flower, yeah, you can embellish this project any way that your heart desires. Okay, so this is the last thing that I want to do. I almost forgot to do this, but I bought this about 6 months ago. And I'm not sure if I got it on Amazon or at Walmart, but it's called, I think it's Amazon, ABS Sock Stop. And so it's so that you make your slippers or socks non-slip. So it wants me to cut out a cardboard the size of the sock and slip it in there, but I'm not going to go through all that. I'm going to be a rebel and just kind of dot it in between, you know, where there's a lot of yarn. I'll just dot it. If it doesn't work out, then I'll resort to following their instructions. I'm such a rebel, aren't I? So anyway, I just unscrewed the top, and let's see what happens. I hope it's not too drippy. If it is, then I'll understand why they said to do that. So I'm going to do some dots on the bottom and then on the top. So let me see. I hope it stays in focus. Whoops, it's already coming out. So yeah, it's not too gooey. So I'm just going to go where I know that there's enough yarn where it's not going to go through to the foot. and try to make this slipper non-slip. So yeah, it comes in lots of different colors. I chose this because this was the least crazy of the colors. I wanted like a soft pink or a white, but I couldn't find it in those colors. So yeah, I'm just going to do this. I've never tried it before, so I can't really recommend it. I'm just hoping it's going to work. When I used to make tutorials before, people used to always ask me how to make them non-slip, and I would tell them about this stuff, but I never had actually tried it. So now we're trying it. If I can remember on my next tutorial, I'll let you know how this ends up working out. So what they say too is you may need to apply it a couple of times. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. And yeah, I think I'll just finish here and say my goodbye. Don't forget how much I love you. Don't forget to love yourselves and everyone you come in contact with. Yeah, hope you had fun. I sure had fun hanging out with you. And we'll have to do it again. I'll let you know either in the community section of this YouTube channel or on my Facebook page if you follow me on Facebook. I'll let you know what our next tutorial is going to be. So I'm just going to continue doing this as we say goodbye. All right, guys, I love you so much. Bye. So hey guys, this is the next day and I wanted to show you that these really do work. It feels very rubbery and this is a great idea. Let me see if I can get you to see the grip that it has. You can even hear it. It's just like, you can hear the squeakiness because it's like grabbing on to this. This is so good. So yes, I definitely do recommend the sock stop, I think it was called ABS sock stop. So yeah, definitely will be using this for all my future socks and slippers and stuff like that. Awesome. Oh, and this is what I did on the bottom part. So I did it on the heel and on this part. Yes, awesome.
Thank you for watching our glamorous channel.